We've got a great topic for you right now. I think you're going to love this one. We're talking about elevating your brand using virtual stores to engage the gaming native audience. So we're thrilled to have with us today Neha Singh, who's the founder and CEO of Obsess, and also Lisa Brewer, who's the head of customer growth and e-commerce at Kenvue, which is formerly J&J Consumer Health brand. What we're going to talk today is about the fact that the 80% of today's US consumers now identify as gamers. So that means 80% of you in this room identify as gamers. And this number only increases when you look specifically at Gen Z and younger audiences. And I can 100% confirm this is true because having a 14-year-old boy in my house, I know more about Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom than I ever thought I would. And if you don't know what that is, ask your kids. Anyway, these gaming-fluent shoppers expect highly visual, interactive digital experiences that go beyond the traditional e-commerce shopping experience. Today, Neha and Lisa will be discussing how the next generation of brand storytellers will be defined by interactive, gamified 3D experiences. Welcome, Neha, and we're going to have Lisa come up as well.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Super excited to be here. I'm Neha Singh. I'm the founder and CEO of Obsess. I'm going to give you a little bit of intro about virtual stores and gamification, and then bring our special guest, Lisa, up to the stage. So first, I want you to all take a moment to think about what a typical e-commerce site looks like today, right? You go to any website, this is the interface. It's a grid of thumbnails on a white background. And whether you're shopping for beauty or fashion or skincare or home products or really anything, it's exactly the same as buying toothpaste on Amazon, right? This interface has not really changed in 25 years when it was first created to sell books. And then it somehow just got used for every brand, every category, and really has not evolved while the consumer has evolved. As we just heard, more than 80% of consumers identify themselves as gamers. So we are spending hours a day today in these 3D interactive interfaces, and that's starting to become the consumer expectation across all of our digital touchpoints, including shopping. So that's where virtual stores come in, and essentially Obsess is a platform that enables brands to convert their traditional database-like shopping experience into something that is really visual and immersive and creative and really custom designed for each brand, as you will see with the Neostrata store later. And all of this is running on a mobile browser or on a desktop browser. You don't need to download an app. You don't need to put on a headset. It's super accessible to the consumer, super accessible to brands as well to get started. And the reason we're speaking to you about this today is because we have created over 200 virtual stores and experiences from brands ranging in fashion, beauty, CPG, media entertainment, appliances, and we have over 100 million data points now on how consumers are behaving in these experiences. And typically, brands create virtual stores and virtual experiences to meet one or more of these objectives, to grow customer engagement, drive brand loyalty, and tap into new types of first-party data, because now you are getting spatial data that it wasn't possible to get in digital experiences before, as well as first-party preference data through quizzes and gamification, which we'll also talk about a little bit soon. So today, we are super excited to announce that we are launching a new case study with Neostrata, a Kenvue brand. And Neostrata is a 40-year-old dermatologist-born brand which has revolutionized the skincare industry with its regimen of skin-renewing acids. And Neostrata partnered with Obsess to create a 3D virtual experience to introduce new consumers to the brand in a way that would stand out against their competition and bolster their storytelling and position Neostrata as a disruptor in the skincare category. So here's a little bit of a peek into the experience. So we'll just watch it. And while the rest of it is playing, I'll start kind of giving you an intro. So when Neostrata came to us, they didn't want to just replicate a retail store experience. They really wanted to create a multi-sensory virtual experience that really brings potential new consumers on an education journey about the brands, about the factors that affect your skin, as well as about the products and the ingredients, of course. So that was the goal of this experience, to really create this new type of environment that's interactive and that's play-driven. What we came up with was this 4-layer experience that kind of follows a shopper's journey from education to consideration to purchase. And for example, the first layer educates the customer about different environmental factors that impact their skin. Like you can go into the sun room, which is shown here on the screen, or into the gravity room, into the pollution room. And the entire design incorporates key Neostrata branding elements, like you can see the hexagons throughout, as well as humanized visuals to represent science-backed products. And the #1 performance goal for this experience was consumer engagement. To enhance that, we used multiple forms and levels of gamification and quizzes in this experience, such as a knowledge check game, a skincare quiz. And these are some of the results that we saw from the experience. It is a highly engaging branded touch point for consumer education and shopping. We saw 34% higher time spent, 159% higher interactions per visitor compared to our average across all our stores. And 2 out of every 3 visitors completed the entire knowledge check game. And for visitors who actually interacted with the cart, they spent 8 minutes in the experience. And then here are some of the results of the quizzes on conversion. So 73% of all users completed the skincare quiz. And once you kind of go through these questions in the experience, you get a recommendation of like 5 products to add to the cart. And 43% of people who finished the quiz actually added all 5 products to their cart. So really exciting results. And I'm super excited to now welcome Lisa onto the stage, who's the head of customer growth and e-commerce at Neostrata. And yeah. So excited to have you, Lisa. And I'll give a quick bio. Lisa has nearly 20 years of experience launching profitable cross-platform campaigns designed to increase brand awareness, drive loyalty, and generate revenue. She's an accomplished e-commerce and digital marketing leader who thrives in entrepreneurial environments and has successfully built strategies and teams from the ground up. So excited to have you, Lisa. So tell us a little bit about the Neostrata brand to begin with, and you're part of Kenvue now instead of Johnson & Johnson. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so Kenvue might not be well known yet. It just became its own company on May 4th. It spun off originally from Johnson & Johnson's consumer health brands, so the ones that you might know more than Neostrata yet. Neutrogena, Band-Aid, Tylenol, some of the things you find in your cabinet all the time. And Neostrata's role is truly the dermocosmetic arm of Kenvue. And the challenge for us was that this science-backed 40-year-old skincare brand really hadn't taken off yet in the US. And the challenge with some of these science-based brands is there's so much to tell. There's so many pieces of information, whether you're a novice or an expert. There's a story behind every ingredient, every product, and every piece in our line for why it's there. And what we saw on our site was that the articles, the pieces of content that were really in-depth that could help guide you did not have the engagement that it needed. And that's what brought us to Obsess.
Amazing. And who is the Neostrata customer? Who are you targeting with this experience?
So this consumer to date lives in our anti-aging section, or maybe in our gravity room. But what we know from all of our research and education is really this hyperpigmentation, discoloration consumer, which skews a bit younger, is who we're hoping to sort of bring into the fold and then have them be with us from kind of those younger 20-year-old age all the way through.
Amazing. And as you said that you weren't seeing the level of engagement with the content around the science and the ingredients, why did you decide to create a virtual experience in that case?
Sure. So again, mentioned that the bounce rates were high, the page views per visitor were low on all of our deep educational pieces of content. And so as we were thinking about going younger and how would we communicate this information, that's sort of where this edutainment exercise came from. And so Neostrata, which means new layers, was a piece of it. And then we were thinking through how we could kind of cut through the various layers of skincare knowledge to bring people the information in a fun and engaging way.
Amazing. I love that term, edutainment. I think we might start using it. And Neostrata was actually one of our customers who had such a well thought out strategy of the virtual experience when you started working with us. So how did you think about the structure of the space and the strategy behind the experience?
So as a disruptor brand, we knew we did not want to mimic some of our peers who were already in the space before us. And certainly we could have done a traditional store, but I just mentioned the new layers. So we were thinking about how we could take you from broad knowledge down the funnel into selling to you at the very, very final stage. And then the other input, I have to give my 10-year-old daughter credit. I watch her engage in the metaverse. And she doesn't just do this in a horizontal way. She's constantly jumping and going up and down, and there's truly no clear path. And when you stop and ask her what she's doing, she's like, I'm just exploring. And so I'm like, okay, so we've got layers, and she's jumping vertically and horizontally, and so how might we lay this out in a way that borrows that? She's closer to the age we're trying to target than I am, so how could we borrow that predetermined behavior to guide our store?
Amazing. And then your 4 layers basically start with the environment, and then you go up to, tell us.
Yeah, so we start with the environment. That's for like the novice of all novices. How might the sun impact our skin? How pollution, how cold, et cetera. And then you go down a bit lower and you get to the lifestyle floor. And the lifestyle is about hydration and exercise and sleep. And then you get a little bit lower. Maybe now you're ready to hear about retinol and vitamin C and glycolic acid. And then once you've sort of gone through all of these, you can go down to our gift shop, we call it, and sort of browse the products you've seen so far. As you go, you saw our knowledge quiz, so you can get quizzed on how the sun affects your skin, how pollution affects your skin, and you get that true product quiz to build your perfect regimen when you're ready for it, kind of at the bottom.
Amazing. And one of the other things I love is that you followed a very kind of startup-like MVP and iterative approach to the experience. Like all the layers did not launch at the same time. How did you think about the sequence and how you wanted to test, and how did you let data inform your decisions as you went along?
When we first started building this, we started with the sunroom because we had the launch of our new vitamin C serum. And so with that serum, we said, let's not go and build the most perfect experience we've ever conceived, because then it's frozen in time. Going live wasn't the goal. Launching pieces that were more engaging than our content, our site, was how we were going to gauge the success of this. So by launching simply just the sunroom, even you would walk into the environment layer and the other rooms were locked. And so we were able to see what people engaged with in that environment. We found out we had this little lizard that had a little piece of knowledge on top of it. And that was the most engaged piece of the environment room, of the sunroom in the environment layer, was the lizard. We're like, great, we need pieces like that throughout that catch your eye. So you'll see wolves in the cold room, and you'll see other pieces throughout that are similar. And you're like, oh, they learned that off the lizard in the sunroom. And so once we saw that, we were able to then have that translate in the other rooms. The other thing we saw once we unlocked the rest of the rooms, which we locked and asked for your email address so we could let you know, but get some 1P. Once we did that, we saw people actually weren't going from room to room. We made it too hard. So when you got down to the lifestyle layer, we didn't gate them in the individual rooms. There was one open space that you could sort of explore on your own, and we kept that as we went all the way down too. And so with that piece of information, we kept making modifications as we went all the way down.
Amazing. Yeah, and I think it's one of the best ways to show like all of the data that you're getting through this platform and actually utilizing it to optimize the experience. And just when you start launching it at the, at day one, it's not going to be the best performing, but you have to use data just like anything else. And then you also have a really well-executed multi-level gamification in the store, which we can see from the data and across all of our stores really increases customer engagement. So how did you think of the game, and it also has like multiple levels of rewards? How did you kind of conceive of that?
Going back to Roblox, and if anyone has a kid who plays Roblox, they're unlocking these animals and they're flying on them, and now they're neon, and I don't track. But I knew unlocking things as you went was going to be incredibly important. So in those environment rooms, you can unlock, as you take these knowledge quizzes, which again, our goal is to educate, but do it fun. So how can we teach them about protecting their skin from the sun, and then unlock free shipping if they pass the quiz? And then we've got gift with purchases up in there. We've got other components like a certain % off your order as you go all the way through. And so that rides along almost in your digital wallet, and you can use them as you convert as you get to the bottom.
Yeah, incredible. And then what are you excited for next in the virtual experience?
So everyone here has probably been here for 5-ish hours, and I'm sure someone's heard the word AI. Here it is again. But it might be a little bit different than you're thinking about it. So for us, big in beauty and skincare are before and afters. Instead of thinking about it from a before and after standpoint, we were thinking about how do we show someone what happens to your skin if you don't take precautions. So we all know to wear SPF, but we also don't necessarily know that it takes 10 years for some of the signs of sun care damage to show up on your face. So what if we showed that to you? Now we could either follow an individual and tell them not to wear sunscreen, that feels irresponsible, for 10 years and take a picture every single year, or we could ask AI to show us what somebody's face looks like if they've not used sun care for 10 years, and then show us that same model-generated image if they do use sunscreen for 10 years. And so to show that, have AI influence how we're showing before and afters, it's not the promise of what our products necessarily do, it's the importance of skin health and taking care of your skin, and that was at the core of what we were trying to do.
Amazing, and that's functionality that'll be incorporated
Yes.
into your virtual store. And yeah, we are using AI as well with, in many ways, including to speed up the conceptual part of designing the virtual store. For brands who may not know exactly like which direction they want to go, we can now generate a lot of different concepts like very quickly and have you decide like you like this or not, and then we are also incorporating all kinds of other interactive features using AI as well. And then lastly, do you have any advice for other brands who might be thinking about entering the virtual space?
Sure, I would say understand the ultimate objective for why. Sure, many folks can come in and say, we need to have a metaverse experience. If you can pinpoint why you're doing something, then you're able to come up with the approach. And you can say, we're going to start this in this small area, and we're going to try to move this KPI, this one number. Otherwise, you might end up with an experience that will be beautiful, and then someone's going to ask you how it's going, and you'll be like, oh, it's going great. We launched it. But remember that there's a goal that we're trying to hit, achieve, and change, and that can be the greatest starting point.
Amazing, yeah, and that's really one of the first questions we ask brands that we start working with is like, what's the objective? Because the space can be designed in many different ways, right? So like if your objective, as you said, was edutainment, it was really about the education, but if your objective is like sales, we would put the best-selling products like right in front of you as soon as you enter, just like you would in a retail store. So having that objective very clearly defined from the beginning really helps us set the right KPIs and design the store in that way. So you can check out the Neostrata virtual store on neostrata.com on the homepage, and then you can also download the case study at obsessar.com/Neostrata. And we have a couple minutes for questions in case anyone has any quick questions. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Doing the design of the virtual environment, are those like, is that sourced from photography, or do you have an idea in mind? Who's actually putting that together?
Yeah, so the concept is really coming from the brand, but in terms of the execution of it, our team creates the 3D environments in an iterative way, and every week during that design process, we will show it to the brand, and you'll give feedback. But in some cases, it's based on photography, but like in Neostrata's case, if you see from the video, it's very conceptual. It's very different. So kudos to Lisa and team for really coming up with utilizing the platform in a way that really made use of the fact that it doesn't have to be related to exactly what a retail store looks like. Like you can get more creative. So we can often start with just like a very high level concept to we have some customers all the way who have super detailed like drawings of exactly what they would want.
One of our layers, it was our ingredient room, and I said to the head of design, I want it to be if Willy Wonka had an ingredient room. And that's all I had to say, and like people understood what I meant. So it can be deliberate, like you mentioned, and you can be like conceptual.
Great, yeah.
What are some other brands that are doing this well if we want to go and take a look at a couple?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the recent brands that we launched with and that have really also very thought through strategies and experiences is J. Crew, Laneige, Alo Yoga. You can find kind of all these experiences on their social and on their websites. And there's a ton more, but just these are the recent ones. Great, amazing. We are right on time. Thank you so much.